Could you talk a bit about diarrhea in horses and your experience about correlation with ad libitum, hay, or too much roughage in general, especially horses that have normally shaped droppings but excess water? Apart from the droppings, I get the feeling that a lot of horse owners have this problem. Also, 15 years ago, this wasn't so much a problem as it seems to be nowadays. I have also heard of studies that showed dappled horses in a herd are more susceptible to this, which I find very interesting. And as do I, Elizabeth. So I know these are two of your favorite topics. One, dappled horses, and two, poop.
The runnier the better, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about dapples last time, so.
Yes, in our last month's video, we did talk about
so
also, we'll definitely check that one out for sure.
We've come full circle. So her key phrase that I picked up in her question was normally shaped droppings, excess water. That's important. Correct. Remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what she's perfectly described is a newly recognized syndrome in horses called, well, it's so new that there's a host of names. You know, when PSSM was new, it was called a bunch of different things, and then we finally settled on one. But it's free fecal water syndrome is one, just plain old fecal water syndrome is one, free fecal liquid. There's a bunch of different names based on what country actually you're from. So pretty soon the researchers will decide on a single name for this, but it is a phenomenon. It is newly recognized. I'll phrase it this way. We're not sure if it's more common or not because it's so new that we haven't got the numbers yet. Once we begin to diagnose horses with it and develop some statistics, we'll be able to track in, 2015, there were this many, in 2020, there were this many, in 2025, and then we'll know, is it an increasing thing or is it just now we're paying attention to it? Yeah,
we're calling it, giving it a name, yep.
Yep. So I did just recently write an article about this, and it's in the Horse Health Library. And this was my definition, which I actually think she did pretty well at. It's considered to be a separate condition from diarrhea or loose stool. It's when a horse passes fecal liquid separately from normal solid manure. And this can occur actually before, during, after, or completely independently of passing of feces.
Oh, independently of it.
Okay. They can just have fecal water running out and no feces. Yep. So you can right away, I know you're thinking as someone who grooms and shows, oh, please don't be a gray horse, because one of the biggest problems is cosmetics, aesthetics. How do you keep a horse clean, their back end clean, when they have this problem? And for the most part, it is a cosmetic problem, but if it's accompanied by also diarrhea, or if there's so much of it that you're actually burning the skin of the horse, I mean, he's always wet, then there can be some more serious consequences of it. Regardless, we want it to go away, right?
Exactly.
So there are more and more studies appearing. Like one just came out in January. There was one by Kinsley out of Germany in 2016. And this is maybe where she got her dapple idea, which is close, but not quite on the money. So this paper, and I think we'll put the citations of both up so people can read them if they want to on their own. This researcher found that horses of low rank or pecking order in the social hierarchy of the herd showed more of it. So it's a subordinate. It's a social stress issue.
Well, let's just say, that would make me think it's some sort of stress related condition.
Yeah, and it seems to be not trailer stress or show stress, but the stress of being the low man on the totem pole.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. When you're at the bottom of the herd. So in winter, especially the horses that have it because of this reason, they showed more of it because the resources are limited, like shelter and food. In the summer, you might have the entire pasture to roam in and get away from the bullies. But in the winter, you might be in a smaller area and you have less of a chance to get away and protect yourself. So they're more stressed in closer quarters.
If you're low man on the totem pole, you can't get away from the bully horses. And then also there's limited resources. So now you're concerned about food and eating and things like that.
Right.
So it's just an added stress to them.
Yeah. The other two things this person found, this researcher found, was it's more common in geldings than mares, which makes sense because who runs the herd, right?
Yep.
And then paint horses were overrepresented.
Really?
Don't know about that, but maybe breed or color has something. All breeds and colors exhibit it, but there was an overrepresentation in her study in paint horses.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say more to come, I guess, more into the research there. I guess kind of dive into that to see if there is
these are just two early papers. And so based on this research, other people will be doing research to sort of look more into the questions. Sometimes research, more questions are raised than the answers, right? So that's how research is sort of guided along. You study the things that were highlighted in the last paper that didn't really make sense. In the Lindroth paper, that was the January 2021, it speaks exactly to her question about the forage source. She says that her conclusion was horses that showed the free fecal water did so with all types of feeding strategies. When they changed from a wrapped forage, which I think they mean, this was in Sweden and Norway, and I think that's their term for like a haylage or a silage, a bag. Okay. When they changed from that to hay, to regular long stem baled hay, to pasture, or even another batch of the wrapped forage, there were often diminished signs of the free fecal liquid. And this indicated that feeding strategy may be important, but it's not the only factor that explains why horses do this. Because just changing sources, same category, but just one batch to another, one lot, one cut from another, and you see a difference. And one more thing, this paper noted that horses with this condition have a higher incidence of colic.
Oh, they do. I was going to say, you were thinking.
Don't ask me why. They don't know why yet. They just noted it. So that's what I mean. The next study includes that as a major portion of their study to try and figure out if that was incidental or it's a real thing.
So this seems like, so as to your point, it's something that we're looking into now as a new kind of area to study. Is it something that's been going on for a while and now we're just kind of drawing attention to it? Or is that, because she was asking, like, didn't seem like it was an issue 15 years ago, but maybe it's something that has been going on now, we're just actually starting to look into it. And it seems like now the research, we've gotten some more questions that have come out of this to kind of dive into a little bit deeper.
It's beginning, the research is beginning to catch up with the problem, which is that's how it works in the real world.
So is there anything she can do right now? Like, it seems like maybe potentially some of the feeding strategy and working with her vet might be her best option as of right now.
Right. Well, I try to bring this up on every question, but keep a journal. This really helps with this problem. Write down what your horse eats, and not just what, be really specific, like how much and time of day, and like when you notice the fecal water, and like, is it first cutting, second cutting, third cutting, and where you got it. Be as specific as possible. And then if you want, begin to make changes, document those changes and see if there was it got worse, it got better, stay the same.
Was he turned out with this horse over that horse? Was he turned out by himself?
Yeah, the weather. I mean, you got everything and document it. And so try to find out in your horse what makes it occur or occur more frequently. You may not be able to completely prevent it, but you may be able to reduce it. That may be the best you can do.
Elizabeth's going to do her own little research study then, apparently, as far as works for her and her horse. And Elizabeth, if you find out what works for your horse, please share it with us. We can add it to future research studies.
With pictures.
With pictures, of course. Well, maybe just send those pictures to Dr. Gray.